Hello everyone, another book review from me, and I want to review a book called Zawia Discourses by Etsko Schuitema. Zawia Discourses by Etsko Schuitema. So what this is a collection of essays by somebody called Sheikh Ibrahim Schuitema, who's sometimes known as Etsko Schuitema. He's a South African Sufi mystic who has written these collection of essays, and Zawia is the name of like a retreat that he runs in South Africa. And the discourses are things that he's reflected on and says after a period of something called dhikr, which is like reflections on God and remembrance of God, and then it's a state of kind of calm and stillness, and he basically just riffs and talks about something that occurs to him at the time, and he's put these together in this collection of discourses. There's about 33 of them, and I initially got onto this because I read something called Millennium Discourses, which was a series of discourses that he wrote around the time of the millennium. I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that, got a lot out of it. So I like picking up his stuff. And it is definitely something from a spiritual nature. So I'll read the back of this book. And this was, this was sort of written in, I think this was printed in, I think it was it doesn't actually say, but I'm assuming this was around sort of the early 2000s. But I'll read the back of it. In this captivating collection of essays, Sheikh Ibrahim Schuitema invites readers on a journey of self-reflection and spiritual awakening through the exploration of themes such as gratitude, human frailty and suffering, and our engagement with one another and the world. These essays invite you to re-examine your life, to see it for what it is, a love letter to you from your Rabb. Rabb is a word that a lot of Muslims and Sikh people will be familiar with. It means the creator. This anthology encourages you to transform your lens of the world from one of resentment to one of gratitude. It offers profound wisdom and insights which will help you see through the veils and find the majesty of your Lord in each moment. Each essay is a transcription of a dars, which means a lesson, delivered by Sheikh Ibrahim. Each dars was delivered after a session of dhikr, which is remembrance of Allah or God, when everyone present was in a deep state of stillness. These dars are never prepared or rehearsed. Instead, they are a spontaneous response by the Sheikh to a theme that becomes apparent to him in the deep silence following this dhikr. Whether you are a spiritual seeker, a practitioner of Sufism, or simply someone seeking guidance in the journey of life, this collection is an important read to help you navigate your human experience, find meaning in your life, and deepen your connection to Allah or the God or the Creator. So, and in that sense, definitely I would say this is great in that you can be anybody that reads this. You don't have to be a Muslim at all, in fact. And he speaks in a language that is not very Islamic, if you know what I mean. He speaks in a very kind of straightforward way. The subject, like I said, because it happens by random, and he talks about something at the end of these periods of kind of contemplation and meditation, they go from topic to topic. So I wouldn't say that this is a book about anything in particular, but I think if you are interested in this, I would definitely pick up Millennium Discourses first, which actually is not that easy to get on Amazon now. This is actually cheaper, but it does talk about, I mean, I found if I had some sort of issue, I would pick it up, and often what he was talking about gave me something to unlock and change and transform and move forward in that particular area. So that I thought was really interesting. If I just pick up any particular bit, just pick up, okay, what could it, I mean, you could, the connections that matter. I mean, there's all sorts of things. What can I say? Now I'm actually there was one thing that I took from this that I thought was really interesting, and he talked about depression. He talked about depression being like climate, but that feeling of self-pity as being like the weather. And if the weather stays long enough, it becomes like the climate, and it's about depression. And it was interesting that I was able to use this even with people, that he said, look, it's trying to get somebody out of that climate of depression. It's not easy to do. You can't do it in a big oneer. But what you can do is, if you can change a small thing, that will help to set off a chain reaction where you can actually, you know, that will lead them to something. So it's like getting to see a little bit of light rather than trying to change the whole thing. You can't change the climate all in a oneer, but you can maybe change the perspective on something. So I thought that was really good. And a lot of it comes from a theistic idea, that if you believe that there's a creator, believe there's a God, then you believe that there's also a plan, that you're not being left randomly. And I think in that sense, it's very much a kind of antidote to nihilism, that there is something beyond this realm, and there is a creator that is beyond this realm that influences, and in fact, not just influences, but actually pretty much directs what is happening. So I suppose if you're looking at things like Gaza and other things, big tragedies, you do see something beyond that. And I think that is intensely positive and spiritual. I'm trying to see if I can find the bit here. A lot of it is also about realizing that we do have what's called a nafs. We have an ego. And somebody told me about something today. He said ego is like edging God out. So it's like thinking that you are the center of the universe. You are what matters, and that there is nothing beyond that. And I thought that was quite interesting. So another way, following our nafs and our self, actually having our life being self-centered, is actually quite a selfish way of life. And that actually at some point that becomes bankrupt. That view becomes bankrupt. We do become broken. But another interesting thing that I got from this was that you will become broken at some point, and the whole point is then to turn back towards something spiritual, turn back to God, and to realize that in actual fact He is the actual director of everything, and in that way you develop what's called submission. You submit yourself to the will of the Creator, rather than your own will, which is something else. A lot of people will say, rubbish, that's crap, that makes you very fatalistic. And for me, that was a message of hope, in that, okay, do it your way, the way you want to, as long as you want, and then see at some point, when the petrol runs out, the diesel runs out, you're going to have to look to something else, and that's where this idea that there's a bigger creator directing things may come in. Anyway, I thought this was a good book. Lots of different lessons in this. I like the whole thing about depression, and it is about taking it out of the idea of nihilism, that there is a creator, that there is something else directing things, and it is basically a positive view, that as much as bad as it is, that there is a point to it all. So the Zawia Discourses by Etsko, Schuitema, I found it really useful, but it's a whole collection of writings that the author has written, who is actually not just a Sufi sheikh, he's actually an anthropologist and a business consultant as well, which I think is really good. You may want to check this out. Okay, thank you. That's enough for me.